Over the years, Nigeria has made commendable progress in embracing electoral technology, particularly with the successful deployment of the bimodal voter accreditation system, the BVAS. In the 2023 general elections, BVAS played a significant role in curbing multiple voting and improving the integrity of the voter accreditation process. Its performance was widely acknowledged as a step forward in the use of technology for credible elections. However, challenges with the real-time transmission of results to INEC Results Viewing Portal, the IREV, raised concerns and sparked public debate. The inability to upload polling unit results as expected created doubts about transparency and accountability, highlighting the need for stronger systems, better communication, and enhanced public trust. As other countries cautiously adopt digital tools alongside manual safeguards, what must Nigeria put in place to ensure that election technology truly deepens democratic confidence? Tonight, we'll take a closer look at the gains, the gaps, and the road ahead. I am Ezenwanwa. Welcome to Electoral Reform Half Hour on NTA News 24 Abuja. This program is brought to you by the Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa, PACA, with support from the MacArthur Foundation. Our guest tonight is Samuel Folorunsho. He is an ICT professional, AI specialist, and cybersecurity expert with over a decade of experience in digital democracy, civic technology, election observation. He is the founder and CEO of a tech firm driving innovation in government through AI and data analytics, and the creator of Legis 360, an AI-powered platform that simplifies access to legislative information. Formerly with Wiaga Africa, Samuel led groundbreaking digital democracy initiatives and has consulted for many organizations. And with adoption of digital information, he holds multiple certifications in cloud computing, cybersecurity, and data analytics, and passionate about mentoring young people, young leaders, young tech leaders across Africa. Glad to have you, Samuel, on our program.
Thank you so much for having me, and good evening, Nigerians.
So straight to the chase. For context, can you briefly explain how BVAS and IREF function during elections? And from your perspective, what have been the greatest strengths and weaknesses so far?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. I think it's a good way to open the show. So BVAS, the Bimodal Voter Accreditation System, and IREF, they are two separate electoral technology. However, one relies heavily on the other. So for context, BVAS is built and introduced to perform three major functions. One, to accredit voters. Two, majorly to deter multiple voting during elections. And three, is to upload results to the INEC Result Viewing Portal. So if you look at the functionality of BVAS, and I will talk about its strength, BVAS has helped us reduce drastically multiple voting, and as we used to see in previous elections before the introduction of BVAS, I will see votes being counted more than the number of accredited voters, or sometimes more than the number of registered voters. So one of the core strengths for BVAS is reduction in multiple voting, and it also increases the efficiency of the voting process. It also reduces time, because before the BVAS, we have to go through the voter register one by one, confirm if and that was it when we were still using affix, which is just the fingerprint. But with the beavers provided Nigerians with the opportunity to use two types of verification systems, either the fingerprint or the facial recognition. So the beavers was a landmark introduction into our electoral landscape. Then IREV, the introduction of IREV just before the 2023 elections. Remember, INEC was tested in Anambra and other elections before the 2023 elections. But IREV, a lot of people misconcept what IREV is supposed to do. And IREV is not an electronic transmission tool. It was supposed to be it's an accountability tool. It was supposed to increase the credibility of the commission. So that is the function of IREV. IREV is supposed to host polling unit results for the citizens to be able to assess them and confirm if it is how they have casted their ballot at the polling units.
Absolutely. So what was the furor? What was the challenge? Why did it become such a controversial issue in 2023 when, especially, because the results could not, in the presidential, could not be uploaded into the viewing portal real time? Why did that become an issue?
Yeah, the issue around IREV, and I believe it is still the commission that could tell us in details what exactly happened to the platform, because prior to the
I'm not concerned about what happened to the platform. Functionality. You talked about its functions.
Yeah.
So in terms of its functions, why did it become an issue? Is like you said, it's not in any way, it's an accountability for the commission itself. So why did it become the concern of the political parties and even citizens to say, oh, there were glitches and all of that, and then the whole transparency conundrum that we found ourselves over the IREV?
I think the issue, the concern surrounding IREV is what you get when education around certain technologies are not properly done. That is what you get when you did not properly communicate the objective when you are introducing a new tool to an electoral process. So people have miss what IREV is supposed to do. A lot of people did not understand its objective, because the introduction of IREV to a lot of Nigerians and to political parties, some of the political parties, seems like, okay, this is where we are going to catch whoever has tried to rig our elections, which is not the
okay. Sam, let's move to many countries are piloting fully electronic voting backed by manual processes and accountability purposes, as opposed to Nigeria elections that are mainly manual. What conditions would Nigeria need to meet before this could become a safe and credible option for us? Okay,
so Nigeria's election is not 100% manual, and as we understand, voting in Nigeria is a process. There are process to voting. You show up to vote, you get accredited. Our accreditation system is electronic, which is why BVAS is there. BVAS is an electronic device. The manual process in this case is the ballot casting, where we don't record who and what has been posted. So if you look at our current how we operate, the flow of our elections how votes are being casted, we have 4 major things we need to do to be able to achieve end-to-end electronic voting. And I think it's also a good time to clarify, because I've heard this in conversations and especially in social media platforms, that electronic voting is not e-voting. Because a lot of Gen Z, some people will consider electronic voting as when you can vote from the comfort of your house. But that's not the concept of electronic voting. Electronic voting is the concept of electronic voting is to be able to use technology to aid and improve the voting process, not e-voting, not internet voting. Internet voting is when you sit at the comfort of your house and you can click on a form or on the candidate of your choice, and you can vote and it will register. So to get into your question of how we can achieve this, I think we need to first fix four major bottlenecks. One is the legal bottleneck. The law have to explicitly back electronic voting and electronic transmission of results. And we saw where the law came to play in the 2023 election when the Supreme Court declared IREV as INEC innovation and not necessarily what it is contained in the electoral act, and it is not backed up by the law. So the law first, for us to make any progress, have to first back up electronic voting and electronic transmission of it. It has to be clear and it has to be explicit.
The upload, because there is a confusion about upload, electronic transmission, electronic transmission of what to where.
Yeah. It is not clear in the law.
So no, does it have to be clear in the law? Because you are you are big on technology. Which country in the world is their election completely technologically based? And the challenge with that is that if you make that into a law, you constrict the hand of the electoral management body to be able to exercise discretion in terms of what to deploy at every given time, considering also our own environment. So what's your take on that?
So not necessarily, because even if we also look at what the the law has said, is that it has already given the electoral management body discretion of how to decide what the procedure of conducting an election should be like.
Yeah.
There is that discretion. But what it did not say, what they used in throwing out the likes of IRF in 2023 election, is that it doesn't say transmit, it says transfer. There is no word of electronic in section 60.
But that takes me to my next question. In addition, do you believe Nigeria is ready for end-to-end electronic collation? Because this is, for me, the albatross.
Yes.
Is not about what you have in IREV is a viewing. Viewing is what it is.
Exactly.
It doesn't go beyond that. But the albatross has been collation. Is it possible for us to have end-to-end electronic collation from polling unit to final collation center, and what will it look like in practice?
From a technological point of view, it is possible. But like we said, there is no perfect technology without a perfect system and a perfect procedure. That means you have to fix logistics, you have to fix transportation around elections. But what it will look like in practice, let's say, that means Nigeria will be looking to move it into getting EVMs, that is electronic voting machines. And there's a technology that is being used in India. It's called VVPAT. It's called the Voter Verifiable Paper Audit Trail. So in practice, what it means is that after finish voting on an EVM machine, it prints a receipt of the evidence of my vote. So I can see who I voted for. That is what the paper audit trail will look like. In that way, as regard of what we do with IREF, for instance, what we upload is picture. It is not granular data. It is not machine readable formats. But when you use EVMs, you can now transmit machine readable formats in numbers of party A scored this, party B scored this, directly to a collation.
We'll be going on break, but why is it difficult? What you should be helping us is, why is it difficult to get this VDMT, solution that we are putting forward? We'll go on a short break. When we return, the electoral reform half hour continues shortly. Stay with us. Glad to have you back. We're still speaking with Samuel Folorunsho, lead innovator at Legistry 60. I was telling you to take us to, what do you think are the challenges why, as a country, we can't move from these pictures? Because it is a lot of problem for a lot of people. All that has happened in the polling unit is snap a photo, upload it somewhere, it does not do any computation. Why are we stuck there up to this period in our technological, drive?
Yeah, like as the technology, it worries me also that we are still here, because technically the country is able to do this, but our laws backing our elections is restricting a lot of technological innovations, as we saw what happened with IREF. The laws have restricted it that even when you come with an innovation now and you get EVM machines, it could be thrown out if it is not explicitly clear that you can do and use this kind of technology. So until that major bottleneck is taken care of, and like I used to tell people, America would not think of self-driving cars if they don't have good roads and internet and electricity.
Yes,
so we cannot start thinking of that now if we did not fix the bottlenecks around it, if we did not fix the infrastructural problems, if we did not fix the compulsory marriage we have with NURTW. Because how will these machines even get to the polling units, for instance? If we did not really look at our technology infrastructure in the country, because how would we transmit the results from those polling units? What kind of technology will we be using to transmit? Because when these machines are machines that have to be air-gapped.
Okay, so we are now in the season of electoral, amendments, House Committee, on Electoral Matters, Senate Committee. We are in a retreat in Lagos by one of our civil society organizations, supporting all of that. Why is it difficult? Is it a mindset problem? Does it have to do with the lack of interest by politicians to bring a process that can bring credible, fair, free, acceptable election?
I think you just actually hit the nail on the head. There's lack of interest by politicians because of interest. But there's also a social trust issue. There's also a trust deficit issue on the part of the citizens in the electoral management body. Because for the citizens to be able to back this up, to be able to push this kind of reforms to happen, trust have to be dealt with. Because now the first reaction you will get from Nigerians when this kind of technologies, they've brought new machines to rig the elections. Because if you take trust out of the way, people can now beginning to see the importance. Because what stops people from actually seeing benefits is lack of trust.
So Sam, this leads me to attitudinal challenges, which also will mean the point you raised now about voter education.
Yeah.
Are there technological tools with which we can enhance and drive voter education in a way that can break down, first see if we can even nibble at the trust deficit issues and then explain technology in a way that our people can understand.
Exactly, and technology is not a solution by itself. It's still powered by people, and the people that will power this technology and how it could be used to address these concerns in terms of civic education. A platform like the Electoral Reform Hours, which I really enjoy watching also. Because when we say it, we need to start developing technology to speak to people in their own languages. We need to start reaching people with low technologies. I like, over the past 8 years, I've been interfacing with electoral technologies. I'm a big advocate for reaching people with SMS, reaching people with robocalls, IVRs, directly in their own languages and in their own locality, because we also need to put the technological infrastructure available in the country. Because how many people can access smartphones? How many people can pay for data that is continually increasing? So if you continue to design civic education around these urban settings kind of technologies, then you won't get far. So we need to look inward and use technologies.
So could this be what inspired you to build Legis 360? And before you answer me, I know you are heavy on bills in the National Assembly. Is there a thinking to expand into the states, local government, ECOWAS, Parliament, to be able to drive the level of information that the exciting Legis 360 evokes in the mind of those who are already subscribing to it?
Yeah, so thank you so much for that question. So in a democratic society, digital democracy is as important as the democracy. So if you have a democracy, and in this world that we have, the democracy is not digitized, it raises concern around transparency, open governance, and that is what led us to Legis 360. Legis 360 mission is to be a one-stop shop for legislative information around Africa. So we believe that governance happens at every level, national, federal, state, and local government. So in fact, we are currently solidifying our our partnership with state houses of assembly. So in time, you will see the state houses of assembly modules on the district 60, and you'll be able to assess governance at that level.
So what policy legal reforms do you think are most urgent to support innovation in election technology and this digital civic engagement that you talk about?
So election technology, legal reforms and policies around electoral transmission and electoral voting. For instance, I have looked at the electoral laws that have been introduced, or bills that have been introduced on the floor of the National Assembly, and one struck out, HB 37, which is being sponsored by Honorable Ejiro Francis. It's looking to amend the section 60 subsection 5 of the electoral law to
Francis YV?
YV, yes.
Okay.
Is looking to amend the section 60 subsection 5 to include transmit and electronica in that provision of the law. So with this, now we can now say, okay, this is being backed up by the law. INEC can now go ahead with its innovations. INEC can now explore technological tools that could help advance our electoral system, that could reduce bottleneck, because I strongly believe that once we start exploring around this kind of technologies, we could actually reduce a lot of costs.
Well, on a home stretch, so as an innovator, and I just want you in 30 seconds, what is your vision for the future of election technology in Nigeria, and your final thoughts in just 30 seconds?
So thank you so much. So I think for technology is a tool to advance credible, open democracy. So my vision for electoral technology is a technology that is dependable, that is transparent, that is reliable, that people can trust.
This is where we draw the curtain or wrap up our conversation on this episode of Election Reform Half Hour. And we wish to specially thank you, Samuel Folorunshaw, for your time and contributions on the program. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. The Electoral Reform Half Hour is brought to you by Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa, PACA, with support from MacArthur Foundation. We are live every Saturday from 8:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. with repeat broadcast every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. on same station. Thank you for watching. I am Ezenwa Wabu.